You know, when I was a kid, I got a real lucky, and somehow I ended up going to see Chet Atkins. I was like 16 years old, and I wasn't expecting to be blown away like that. I mean, the command of styles was just over, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. And I hung around after the show and I talked to him for a little bit, and he gave me some really words of encouragement and stuff. And it made me think about what's the most important thing in being successful in music is two things: patience and perseverance. Don't give up. Because most people give up, you know, and I never gave up on this guitar thing. I've been doing it forever. And I heard Eric Polito from Midlake talking about that when he met Wayne, the singer from the Flaming Lips. He gave them that advice. He goes, don't break up. Don't give up. And Midlake's doing great things now. Same thing with Blue October. I've talked about that for a long time. And overnight success in the music business takes 13 years, you know? And you look at the band No Doubt, same thing. You know, they had all kinds of challenges and they didn't give up. And I haven't given up, and I'm not going to. When they pry this thing from my hands, they're going to have to close the casket on it, because that's the way it's going, man. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So there was a couple of emails that came through last time talking about the speed thing, and I wanted to tell a little bit of a story, because I always get asked about the technique part of guitar playing. And so the story I wanted to tell, think of it this way. On this shoulder, you have the goddess of slowness and accuracy. And on this shoulder, you have the goddess of speed. So if you pay more attention to the goddess of slowness and accuracy than the goddess of speed, she will become jealous and she'll pay more attention to you. That's kind of how things work. Same thing we were talking about last time with, you know, money and poor people. It's counterintuitive a little bit. But if you just took something like a simple arpeggio and you do it really slow, you know, you'll be able to do it fast. Just do it slow. Don't ever try to play fast. Go very slow and patient. And that's what develops your relaxation. Because speed is a product of relaxation. You know, if you look at a cheetah, it's chilling out. It's one of the fastest animals on the planet. And you don't ever see them running around like a chicken with their head cut off until it's that moment. You know, they're really calm most of the time. And I think in the music community, there's a lot of unnecessary negative comments about people who have high levels of technique. But, you know, I was also lucky. Besides Chet Atkins, I enjoyed the guitar playing of Al Di Meola very much. And another guy named Yngwie Malmsteen. And both of those guys get accused of, you know, I've heard people say Al sounds like a typewriter or Yngwie's a shredder. And I disagree completely with that, because if you slow down anything that Al Di Meola does, you slow down anything that Yngwie Malmsteen does, it would still sound good. Now, I'm not going to get into naming names here and stuff because that's not what this blog is about. But there's a lot of shred guitar players where if you slowed their stuff down, it would sound like nothing. It would sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo and scales or something. Where if you slow down what Yngwie plays, it sounds very classical melodies, you know. And what Al plays is some beautiful stuff. And I tell people that check out his album Ciola di Terra. Just him with an acoustic guitar. It's one of the most amazing records, and it's just a great level of deep harmony and technique and sound on there. And if you think about, why do people shred things? Why do companies like Enron shred all their documents? They're trying to hide something. So a shred guitar player is trying to hide the fact that they're playing a bunch of bullshit. And so it's really uncool to call Yngwie Malmsteen a shred guitar player, because he's not. He's a virtuoso guitarist with a very high level of technique. It's the same thing Al Di Meola is. He's a virtuoso guitarist with a very high level of technique. So let's get real clear on that, and I think that's really important. And if you guys had asked about the chord progression that we're doing on Sacrament, the new song I'm recording in the studio with John Carruth on drums, Wade Campbell on bass, and the one and only Clark Erickson, well, the chords on that was B flat major, and then A7 flat 13, kind of an Al Di Meola kind of chord, and then just a D minor. And then because I was lucky enough to get in Chet Atkins, I got pretty good at finger picking. So I just did the part that way. And then I thought of a melody, you know. I got a hunch and I'm on a mission to legalize green and criminalize the system, to open our hearts and close all the prisons. You know, and just from there I just kind of built it up a little bit. And I kept playing it, and then I thought about a verse that's going to be opposite of that. And it's just kind of the creative process. But I actually came up with those chords on the piano, not the guitar. I tend to think of, you know, hipper voicings on the piano than I do on the guitar for some reason. I really like the sound of the piano, and I always wanted to get the guitar to have that kind of brilliance to it. And if you think about it, the piano and the guitar too are related. They're both stringed instruments. The piano just happens to have an interface with a keyboard that goes and finds the note with the hammer. But when you play the guitar, you come in direct contact with the strings. So I always thought that was really awesome, you know. So we're going to be posting one of these new blogs every Wednesday. And remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, and you'll have a straight line to us every time we put out one of these new things and we're doing shows and stuff. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you next time.